Jacked Up Review Show. It's a Jacked Up Review Show. Jacked Up Review Show. It's a Jacked Up Review Show.
Join us as we cover many an insane movie and numerous cult TV phenomenons. Are you ready to get jacked up? Are you with us? Then listen on.
Listener discretion is advised. It's a Jacked Up Review Show. It's a Jacked Up Review Show. Jacked Up Review Show. It's a Jacked Up Review Show. It's a Jacked Up Review Show. Jacked Up Review Show.
Hello, ladies and gents. We decided to talk about some very crappy bands in various genres and other music artists who just we don't ever see the appeal of. So we're just gonna circle around. We're gonna cover all kinds of genres: metal, new metal, rap, hip hop, rock, pop, electronic. And other auto-tuned nonsense that we just can't get our head around. So prepare to be offended. So John, I will let you start off the show just with a band that you've just been sick of hearing on the radio for almost a decade.
Oh man, there's so many to name, but I'll do the first one. That band, which is one that people always seem to love, but I'm sorry, I never got the appeal, even as a kid. That's Radiohead.
I think, honest to God, given what everyone makes a cover of, everyone only really knows them from the song Creep. I don't think anyone else. And I think I've heard maybe 5 other jingles by them, but I could definitely put them in overhyped because it's just like, okay, they are kind of whiny after a while.
Particularly the singer's voice, that's what just gets me every time. I'm sorry. I'm like, nope. Off.
Is he a male Yoko Ono?
Yeah, I could say that.
And now I've just opened up the Beatles thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to close it now because I don't want to talk about the Beatles. I want to talk about all these other bands. I'm going to go ahead with My Chemical Romance.
Oh, God.
Just a very grating lead singing voice, not inspired electronic backdrops. And after a while, I was just done. And I revisited them not too long ago, and I see people bring them up, especially girls who seem to be into rock and music. And I'm just like, really? You're ranking them up there with all these other hip, rock stars like John Mayer and Weezer? I'm like, yeah, no, no thanks. It just, there was definitely one song that it's so forgettable. I don't remember what it is, but it's like it just kind of was on for a while, and then it's just like, yeah, no. I mean, give me Panic at the Disco any day. Give me Vampire Weekend. Give me some of those other alternative bands, but don't give me these guys. I just don't see the appeal in any of the lyrics. They really just can't separate themselves from all the other bands for me. I just, because I don't know why. If I see someone like people like Ben Folds, for instance, are able to interject a lot of comedy into their numerous different tones, and you don't know what kind of a tone they're going to go with each song. So because of how unpredictable they are, that adds to the fun. And I can understand some of the, I can even respect bands like, Green Jelly, because, Les Claypool, I get that he's an experimental type and his music really is kind of like Tom Waits. It's really not even music. It's just him diddling around. So,
yeah.
But what's the excuse here? I really just don't get any voice from them. I just kind of get a lot of guys who were inseparable from all the other electro rock bands around that time.
And they love to overplay that one song from them, which I had to hear in school almost every day of the week. Joy.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
Oh.
I guess
You
I
ever?
should mention one artist that another one that I never got the appeal. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this one, so get ready.
Ready?
I'm sorry, folks. Speaking of voices I just can't get into, is Bruce Springsteen, the boss himself.
Oh.
I know.
I think you heard one of his awful songs. Or did Born
Well,
in the USA come on the radio too much? Is that what caused it?
that's a mixture of that, but I was never a fan of his voice, period. And I'm sorry. Like, the only songs I do like from him are actually Dancing in the Dark, which I know is blasphemy. But I'm sorry, guys, but that's the only one that appeals, at least to me.
I mean,
I've tried for years. I could
that
never get
song's
into him.
definitely probably even more overplayed, but I like
True.
it. Oh, it's gonna happen, guys. Get ready. Tune out now. Okay, King Crimson. I tried getting into these guys. I asked other metalheads, have you heard of them? I haven't heard of them.
I've heard of them. I barely remember any songs.
Yeah, I could. Oh, that's just it. I couldn't tell one from the other. It was just too repetitive for its own good, and there really wasn't any good to be had to begin with. So it was just like, yeah, I'm not digging this headbanging. I mean, like, I respect Slayer, but they didn't age well to my ears personally. I'm more of a Pantera guy, but I'm sure there's a Pantera versus Slayer thread I can find somewhere on the internet. And this is where we're going to get technical. It's all based on everyone's experience. Obviously, we're going to piss off someone down the line because they'll be like, oh, you don't get it. That made my life, so much easier. And it's like, I'm sure it did. There's going to be plenty of these where I respect them, but I get zero enjoyment from them. But King Crimson, I saw zero appeal in. I was them. Another one was Cannibal Corpse. And
oh, God.
They just, I think I just went about deaf after just listening to them. It's just too much for its own good. It's like there is such a thing as too much of a good thing, and if I feel like you're just trying to see how long you can hold a scream before your voice actually does go out and your vocals give in, that's just not appealing to me. I need some actual just kind of heart in the scream. And it's like not even any of that. It's just kind of more.
Yeah, I can never stand that. I try.
There are some that actually become kind of pleasant after a while, but there are others where it's like, yeah, no. Oh, tell me about the Lumineers. I'm gonna just start naming.
Talk about just forgettable at best. Besides that one song that they always play over and over again in commercials. I'm like, God, guys, I'm sorry. I don't care. I'm just saying. I mean, seriously. I mean, it was them. Well, I could just name random ones. Anthrax was another one that a lot of people love so much. I know.
Yeah, there were a lot of ones that I skipped. There were some that I liked, and there were others where it's like, yeah, you're getting a little repetitive as hell, and that's just it. I was in a repetitive mood, so I got into stuff, but it would never be first on my playlist. Definitely not.
No. Oh, it's funny, the story my dad told me when he was on the cruise one day, this was back in the 80s, and he actually got to see them live, and he heard a few seconds of them and then walked out. He just went about his business on the cruise. Nope, not gonna bother listening to them. And we got bands like them. I'm also gonna say Iron Maiden. I know a lot of people love them.
Yeah.
I just never got the appeal for some reason. I love the album covers. I'll give them that. I mean, that's about the one thing I can praise. Because it does start to get repetitive after a while. That's why I tried to listen to them for years, and I don't know. Because Bruce Dickinson's voice just doesn't appeal to me, at least. And trust me, like I said, I've tried before, but and it does come down to the singer's voice, and now people go, "That's not the only thing." I'm like, well, if I don't like the singer's voice, I'm sorry to tell you, that's gonna ruin the song sometimes. Not always, but that can dampen my mood quite a bit. And I mean, there's so many I can name that I know people always mention to me. There's what should I go there? You know what? Screw it. At this point, I'm already mentioning some of these.
Let's
Well,
do
I
it.
don't mind. I don't mind a few songs from this band.
Well, that's just
I'll
it.
say,
That's why we call it overrated and everything.
yeah.
You can like maybe free singles, but if you're feeling like the rest of their resume was just atrocious, then go for it.
Well, this I won't say it's atrocious, but this is a band that I used to love as a kid. Not so much anymore, especially how the members have acted over the years, and that's Kiss.
Yeah,
And
I came into the game very, very late. The only song I really heard by them growing up was War Machine, and but you know, again, they were kind of already late to the game to begin with. You know, they really could never keep up with Van Halen and Black Sabbath, and it's just like, yeah, okay, well, yeah, I see the inspiration, but you guys are kind of they were kind of one of the many bands that were known for their offset behavior and just stupid interviews versus their
the
actual
music.
quality. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there's some songs I like for them still. I still put on Creatures of the Night for Halloween. Just saying, but I mean,
yeah. Oh. Yeah, I think they're long overdue in the overrated appeal. And weren't they kind of like? I think they were performing at like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame like a year or so ago, and it was
they didn't perform at all, actually.
That's what it was.
'Cause-
But yeah, then there was another one where it was like Gene Simmons, just like some other guys wanted to show up and he didn't want to reunite, so he's just like, I'll pay you to just not show up at all. It's just like, Jesus.
They keep saying like ones like Ace Frehley and Peter Criss, like they still use drugs. I'm like, no, they're not. They've been sober for years, Gene. What the hell are you talking about?
I think that's the other problem, is just they're very much like some of these celebrities who worked together on a show years ago. It's like, but can't stand each other. And it's just like, well, that's what you're known for. So until you do something far more relevant or do something else besides spoofing yourself, what do we got to reference?
And it's like, you're not one to talk, man. You did your own reality show, which, God, I don't even want to talk about that.
The best part was the roast that was featured.
That's true.
Okay. Oh boy. I'm going to talk about the game. I can understand Naz, who I often got him mistaken for, and no, I'm not a bigot. Fuck you. It just was one of those, just like around the same time I saw how he was just appearing in movies like Street Kings, and then it just got really annoying how, I don't know, really his best collaboration for me was just some of his other collaborations. Like I think he did a track with like 50 Cent, and it was like, okay, well, that's kind of good because of the whatever rhythm you got going, and because 50's vocals, it's not really much salt. And I know some people hate 50, but it's like, well, he has some keepers, he has some losers, sure, but I don't get the game. I think he is interesting as a person. I don't hate him, but I sure as hell don't have any songs that I can name off the top of my head or that I can say get played at a party list.
Speaking of one of a hip hop artist I never liked, even as a person or his music, and I know I'll get a lot of heat for this, but I'm sorry. I just come out and say Kanye West was one.
No. Oh no. Yeah.
I
I was already kind of sick to death of Eminem. I was just like, I just think there's some decent white rappers out there. I'm just not getting Eminem, but he's an interesting person, even though he's full of drama. It's like Kanye West is just, I mean, he got famous for just auto-tuning other shit that Jay-Z sent him, let alone, Daft Punk. And I'm just like, okay, but what does he actually sing? His voice doesn't even perk up. And yet someone seems to, I've had every kind of person who even don't listen to his music just sympathize with him. I'm like, no. You took the bait. You took the bait. I don't give a shit if he goes and cries on Oprah, Barbara Walters or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all, that's how he gets you. And I agree with his message. I'm like, but it's a stupidly worded message. If you want respect, you got to state it better. You can't just rant.
Exactly.
When Spike Lee baits you, that's part of his draft. He's a awesome filmmaker, and he also knows how to just kind of, like a comedian, he knows how to use shock value to, even Oliver Stone does this to some extent. Just like the right people get it. The ones who aren't paying attention think you're legit, they're not twisting it inside and out. And it's like, okay, read it again and listen to how he said it. It's like not hard.
It's just him, especially when he tries to sing, which of course he has to put auto-tune in there because he can't sing for real. He tried to do it with Queen, and oh my god, no.
He did
I said, don't you dare.
He appeared at the We Are the World thing last I checked.
And
in 2010.
I'm like, don't you dare ruin Queen.
Right?
Don't you dare.
Oh, another rap group that I tried numerous times to try and give the benefit of the doubt just because they had such an awesome name. I just could never finish a single song to save my life. Like, they did too much talking to where it was just like, are you gonna fucking sing already? Just too much sampling, too much this, and that would be Jedi Mind Tricks.
Never heard of them, actually.
I don't know if they did too much sampling, so they didn't get played all that much. I don't know, but yeah, not my thing, not my deal. Tell me about Limp Bizkit.
We know it's weird. There's one song of theirs I actually don't hate.
Break stuff.
It's not that. It's actually the cover of Behind Blue Eyes. I know. I'm sorry. I don't actually hate that version, to be fair. That's the only one I can stand from them, just to mention. Everything else, no.
What's funny is the main singer, I forget his name, Durst or whatever.
Fred Durst.
It was is a terrible filmmaker, and yet some people said he was an okay actor in some movies they saw. And it's just like, I think they were just so busy just trying to be like all the other new metal bands where they mix some rap lyrics in with some hard rock, and it's just like, yeah, that was where it started. It became, they were always getting invited to every other film soundtrack. They always had a track on there, and at the same time, they definitely got big heads.
That's true. Although I will give them credit with their theme for Mission Impossible 2. I actually don't mind the theme for that. But
it starts out okay, and then it really, really gets very annoying.
True, but I can at least deal with it, unlike some.
Unlike what came later. I think that was where they started drying up. When did they stop making music? Was it around 05 or something?
It might have been. I'm not sure. I haven't followed them too much, so I don't know.
Man. Yeah, I get all sorts of violent reactions, and I was late in the game. I couldn't tell them apart from all the other ones. I was only really into some of the other ones, which I'll save for defending another day. Tell me about how annoying Taylor Swift is.
Oh my god. Let go.
Nope.
I hate to. I'm sorry. I hate to blame my sister for this, but she's the one that introduced me to that, unfortunately, and it was
my brother's iPod in the pool.
It was just painful to listen to, over and over again, even during high school.
Oh,
I'm like, oh god, why?
My sister kept wanting to forward the music video to Bad Blood. She thought it was so well shot and everything. I'm like, I don't like how that's shot at all. And she kept
It's like the
saying,
only thing I can praise her is when she hosted SNL, and that's the only thing I can praise her. That's it.
because she was actually funny in that one skit.
I
but
know.
Everyone kept trying to forward the Bad Blood music video because there's like a bunch of celebrity cameos, and I'm like,
Yeah, no.
don't hear the lyrics. And I know people who I respect and love, like Richard Cheese, comedy parody
yeah.
master. And it keeps going in some tracks in between where he's talking at the live concert. Oh, so fucking hot. I'm like, yeah, well, is that why you like her? Or is that just whatever?
I just can never stand her.
Well, and I mean, every genre has its purpose. I'll never really understand country nowadays. It just gets too twangy for my.
That's true.
But this is like, it's more kind of, I don't know. It's just like it's basically just spit up pop that just happened to have someone whose roots were in country music.
There's a few exceptions, but I'll mention those another time. But
I can't blame certain people for going certain ways. I mean, you got to do what you got. Country is like the most listened to music in the nation.
That's true.
Tell me about the future sound of London.
I don't know if I know who that is.
Yeah, okay. So an electronic group, and I definitely pay more than I listened to them. I brushed up on them, and I was like, yeah, I have heard them before. I didn't think they were much then. They were kind of just poor man's Chemical Brothers. They were just they weren't great, and they were on. I just put them on the list because they were kind of famous for a minute. They came off as more of a sampling group than as an innovative synced wave electronic duo, and it just kind of, when Crystal Method was remixing other songs, they'd already had street cred, and this group, they kind of were just kind of like the Postal Service, where they would take stuff from other people and, add their 2 cents, and it became a whole different kind of song. But this one, while it had kind of a similar formula, they kind of just didn't really. I never got much of a voice. You would never even know what was them, what wasn't, So because of their lack of standing out and just not finding anything off the top of my head, let alone at all. If you're not on a playlist, you suck. Especially my playlist. So yeah.
We also got ones like T.I. who I've never.
He has like 3 songs that are on my playlist, and it's mainly just because I don't know, they just stand out. But for the most part, it's
very bland.
He would show up and go, yeah.
And not even an interesting actor either, but that's another story.
Yeah, he's an okay actor, but he's definitely not. I mean, you pretty much get him because no other celebrity who's a singer was available. Like, take it.
I guess so.
Do you remember Michael? I'm not even the biggest fan of Batman, but who do you remember? Him or Michael Pena?
True.
I can remember Michael Pena because he made that stereotype shitty role work.
Somewhat luck, but that's a different story.
Oh dear. Tell me about Flyleaf.
I've only ever heard one song from that band. And that's just because of, I think it was Guitar Hero or Rock Band had one of those songs.
Oh my god.
That's the only reason I know that one.
Oh dear.
To be fair.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't that impressed.
Because, there are plenty of other female rock star bands. I could see the appeal in some of them.
Oh, yeah.
The one that's really hot right now that kind of broke up, I think. Hellstorm, I think it was. And it was like, I can
understand. Still together.
Okay, so there's a similar female group that broke up.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, well. They were awesome too, whoever they were. And that one is like Hellstorm, I totally see. And Flyleaf is just such screamy vocals, such too concerned with noise versus the actual content.
Exactly.
I've tried getting into the similar Highly Suspect, and I'll retry them, I guess, one day, but I just recall finding all the other material besides that one radio hit just not intriguing whatsoever. Dawes, this is a favorite of my father, and I just find them just a whiny rock band. They get played on a lot of those, KXT type channels. For those who don't know, that's part of the KERA station, just playing a lot of local and rising bands. And it's a folk band, and I just...
Oh, that's why I've never heard of it.
There you go. And I just... After a while, I just really got annoyed by them. Especially this one song where they just keep going, moo, moo. I'm just like, oh, God. And?
Oh. That can be torturous, but there's some that I'd say is more torturous than that. And when we get to hip hop, I'm gonna say this right now, but Nicki Minaj, Nicki Minaj, no,
not a rapper. Anytime I hear someone use her name and rapper in the same sentence, I'm like, nope. Sorry, bad enough that we got Jessie J, Jason Derulo, Katy Perry,
and I can deal with Jessie J at times, but Nicki Minaj, just that voice alone.
I mean, Jessie J could work if she just didn't rely on the auto-tune. It's just...
Well, I've heard her live, like in other videos, but she's actually a lot better than the recordings. So
okay, well, that's a comfort. As for Sia, well, I can understand Rihanna, Lorde, Ellie Goulding, Daya, and Dua Lipa, but not her. She just doesn't have a niche other than her concealed appearances, and I'm just like, no.
And the songs are just not very interesting.
Nah, exactly. And Lady Gaga, I'll understand why everyone will always be divided on this and really generally like her, but I'm just like, okay, she might be a cool person and all. She might have a traumatic lifestyle that she sings about, but she's basically known for just playing the piano a certain way, and I'm just like, but I'm, all her duets with Tony Bennett, I'm just like, seeing.
That's not interesting.
I'm just seeing a shadow of Madonna and Gwen Stefani, but just lacking that energetic, it's me vibe. I just found her too derivative. So, sorry guys, unfriend me. We're not gonna agree. So,
I can deal with her voice. That's all I could say. But
and then there's Kesha. It's like,
oh God, that's another one.
This is
especially hearing that.
Wanted to talk numerous times about how her mother was a groupie, and I'm just like, okay. And you're known for doing all these. I'm sorry, Rebecca Black has more street cred.
I don't know if I go there, but
I totally go there. Tell me about the band AJR.
AJR.
That awful song, Bang.
Oh, I didn't even realize that was them, honestly. That's how you know I don't listen to a lot of music nowadays.
I don't have a choice. It's going to come on one channel one way or the other. Oh, God.
Well, I can name one that's... I'm sorry. I just gotta say this, because I had to listen to this when I was a kid because of the Disney Channel. That's the Jonas Brothers. For some reason, became famous. I don't get it. I never will.
Let's go out with the bang.
Oh, no. I hear that a lot.
I know, that's literally what I was just referencing, but I'm saying this is what these artists are going to basically do. They're just going to go out with a bang.
And
what did you hear on Disney Channel?
It was like, I think they had their own show at one point, but I was already done with Disney Channel by then, so I won't bother. I mean, I grew up, that's the reason. But I just could never get, well, I mean, that's a lot of the kid artists. They were, I hated Miley Cyrus at one point. I don't hate her as much as I did before, but that's
her voice could totally work in the right way, but that's just that. It's just she chooses to do all this, I don't even know what her audience is anymore. She's too risky for teens, and mothers hate it when they're twerking like her. And then she does all this other stuff that is just weird, and it's just like, I mean, obviously we're not Justin Bieber fans, but it's like, okay, she seems to be doing a lot of that same kind of audience where it's just like, what is the audience?
I can mention him too, by the way.
Guest star on CSI Ever.
Well, for a certain reason, which
Right.
you know,
he got lit up on screen. Playing a
that
serial
sounds
killer.
terrible, but
So whenever anyone says
happy.
CSI sucks, I'm like, no, it does not.
For that scene alone, it does not suck.
No, it does not suck.
I think I never take his voice, and it never helped that when he did host SNL, especially behind the scenes of how he was diva and all that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I could never get into him. Even I was in high school when people were just, a lot of girls were going crazy. I'm like, I don't get it.
What I really hate is when people always forgive saying he can get better. I'm like, no, fuck you,
No.
fuck you, Ludacris. I hate you guys already, and I hate you even more for introducing the world to this idiot.
God. Thank Ludacris. Thank you, Usher.
Yeah,
Of all
thanks. Oh dear. So, let's talk about Juice WRLD. Oh my God. Another crappy rap band.
You know, I've actually, I think I've heard like 1.5 songs.
They're very big right now on the whole. You know, they're going to be on some party playlist, whether it's at a shopping mall or a restaurant. It's unavoidable, and it's like each time it's like such generic mix of rap and pop. Doesn't matter because everyone's gonna just, I don't know, just gonna keep going on and just playing it just because it's on. It's like, just because it's on doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, it usually tends to happen with a lot of, that hip hop nowadays, which is not exactly fun to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly if it has auto tune, that's when I have a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason many tune out. I tried getting into the progressive metal band Morbid Angel, and they just feel just less polished and just excessive samples from either Body Count, Archangel, or Motorhead. That's what I put down in my notes. Tried getting into Pop Evil, and that's another one that's just like, it's catchy, but it's just really, it's known just for that versus having any actual life. And it was another one. I just listened to the entire playlist, and after a while I was like, delete from my phone.
Yeah.
Tell me about 12 Stones. I got them mixed up for the longest time with Free Doors.
Okay, so I will admit there is the one song I like from them. That's my Daredevil soundtrack, and that's about it. And it's sad that they formed where I live now. That's the sad part, but that's a different story. But the rest of those songs, oh God, no.
And I
tried.
apologize. Morbid Angel is technically a death metal, not a progressive. I was thinking of Sons of Apollo, which I also did not like. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
But,
just have a disclaimer. Oh God.
Well, I can mention that band too because I was disappointed with that one. But yeah, 12 Stones, the typical whiny emo band. That's what I call it.
Over and over and she cried.
Oh God.
Actually, wait.
Wait, is that them?
No.
No.
Not Stone Sour. That's, what's the one that Aaron Lewis used to be a part of for his.
Was that Hootie and the Blowfish?
No, not even close.
No, it's not. Sorry. Was he another one? Or have I? You know what? My bad. I'm thinking that's 90s
Aaron
now.
Lewis is.
No, Aaron Lewis. Sorry.
Okay. He sucks, but I mean.
Yeah.
No, I was quoting Stain, and I used to always get 12 Stones mixed up with Stain. I loved Stain back in the day. I can still listen to them, but after a while they totally, again, were inseparable from all the other infamous ones like Limp Bizkit.
I don't know why I thought Hootie had that was just
To be
ignore
fair,
that,
we
folks.
crossed over in the country, and Aaron Lewis has
Yeah.
done it too, and it's you listen to the lyrics, it's like, okay, so you're totally behind the Capitol riots. Fuck you.
And
I used to get him mixed up with the footballer guy.
that's true. And speaking of Sons of Apollo, that's one band that I was disappointed in because two of those members were in another
yeah.
band I'm a fan of called the Winery Dogs. I'm actually a huge fan of them. And
I'll have to check him out.
well, it's the same bassist and drummer, but they have a different singer and guitarist.
You know, it makes a
And-
difference.
Well, it's one that can actually sing, unlike the guy they have in Sons of Apollo. Um, sorry,
They
folks.
call
I know
themselves a super group.
Winery Dogs is actually a super group. Sons of Apollo, I'm not entirely sure.
Apollo just felt like it was just kind of left over, just kind of, and it sucks because there are some good progressive metal bands, and yet I had so many pals in those groups sharing those videos, and I was just like, not feeling it. It's not making me want to work out or anything. It's just kind of just there.
No. It's very generic, especially coming from those guys who I know can write good music and play well.
I will take your word for it. I will check out the Winery Dogs, but yeah, Club Stones. It just seemed like they were just. It's a good segue, especially according to my list. Because yeah, it was like part of the Wind Up Records scene. It was published by Warner Brothers, Universal Soundtracks, and then it just after a while it just got to be where it's like it's just too fucking preachy. I don't have a problem with a Christian rock band. It can be entertaining at times, and then there's other ones where it's like, okay, like POD, earlier records, great. Later records, it's like, man, you are on your fucking soapbox.
I've not listened to the later records, so I can't say.
Oh, you've heard Wind Up Records.
Oh no, I know POD, but I haven't heard the later records. Is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. It's just like, and that's a good segue to where I was really going with this conversation, which was Drowning Pool. It's just like great, phenomenal first soundtrack, and yet, okay, so maybe phenomenal is too kind. I know there's plenty of people who were sick of Bodies Hit the Floor when it came out, but
I was.
it was like they had some kind of voice that could have gone places, and it's like the guy who they got to replace the vocals was just inaccessible to me. I just have tried numerous times. People have occasionally used them on music videos back when everyone was making their own custom stuff on YouTube before Google corporatized it. Yeah. Definitely one album wonder.
That's true.
And if you didn't like them, well, you didn't miss anything.
Exactly.
I can still jam to it, but I can't jam to any of the other albums they did. It's like 2002 was their year. They should have just stayed there. Tell me about Billie Eilish.
Oh, God. Should I even?
I cannot stand those music videos.
I can. Especially, all she does is just whisper, folks. I'm sorry. It's like, what? That's what y'all like? Oh, she just whispers like this the whole time.
Oh, God.
I'm like, and then No Time to Die. Oh, God. I told my brother this.
I'm already lost
if I do
because it's been advertised so many times. I'm like, okay, I'll see it on.
Well, I know. But I'm like, if I do see that, I say if I do, folks.
If.
And if that song comes up, I'll make sure I'll be out in the lobby until that song is done. Because I'm not gonna bother listening to that again for the second time. I heard it once. That's all I needed to hear. Nope.
Oh man.
I'm sorry. If you remind me of Sam Smith's song, then that's a bad sign right there.
He's on my list as well. Perfect segue.
Oh.
I
person.
I can listen to Disclosure by themselves, but he just doesn't. He doesn't have any appeal.
No, he doesn't.
Oh God.
And his voice can just be grating, especially in that song I mentioned.
Oh yeah, the James Bond Song for Spectre was definitely pretty bad.
And yeah, he won the Oscar for that. Shows you how the Oscars are, folks.
It is a sham, guys. It is a sham. Oh.
And, I mean, I could mention ones. I guess I could mention this band. Speaking of country, I guess they call themselves Lady A or whatever. They switch the name almost every other day, so I mean, I can't really keep up. It was Lady Antebellum, now it's Lady A and all that crap.
Lady A.
They were Lady Antebellum, but now they're Lady A because of the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Antebellum, I heard maybe 2 ringers, and that was it. I was just like, and I'm done.
And not thanks to my mom, she liked listening to that for some reason.
Did she ever mixed up with Miranda Lambert and all the other
I guess.
country?
Well, she's a fan of country, but I mean, that's her music. That's all I'll say. But I'm like, that's fine. But that one I can never stand, especially when they overplay it over and over and over again, to the point that it's just nauseous. I can never get into it.
Oh,
And that's all I can say about that. 'Cause
oh boy. Tell me about Skinny Puppy and All Time Low.
a Skinny Puppy I've never heard of, actually.
Oh,
All Time Low, I know I've heard one song from them. If I
yeah,
remember correctly.
Skinny Puppy was an industrial rock band, and I just
Mm.
failed to see what they brought to it. Other than there was plenty of other ones like Orbital and Nine Inch Nails that were around that time. KMF, DM, I understand all that, but it's just like, yeah, they were just kind of just the bastard cousins who were hanging out with all the other industrial rock bands, and I see zero appeal.
I'm not surprised at that point.
And they would be on several soundtracks, and it was always just like the song that you just wouldn't really recall or you would skip over for me personally. And All Time Low, yeah, I mean, they're still touring as we speak, and I'm just like, well, definitely not anyone you could pay me to see in concert. I just can't remember a single rock tune that just was really intriguing and glued my interest, but it is what it is.
I can mention, I'm mentioning some songs, but there's certain songs I just can't listen to. And folks, I love Top Gun, I do. There's one certain song I can never stand. Even
Danger Zone.
not that one. I love that one.
Okay, good.
It's Take My Breath Away. That's the one.
God.
I like the music, but then once you start hearing the singing, lyrics,
Berlin
nope.
was so overused.
Oh God. I'm
Sure,
like,
they're
pick a
nice
different song, guys. Every time.
people.
And it didn't help that they overplay it so much
Mm-hmm.
to the point that you're like, okay, I want to smash my radio. Jesus, guys. Yeah, that's one I can mention. The Final Countdown was another one. Ugh.
Yeah, I don't need to hear that every day.
Nope.
I heard
It was-
it's definitely another one. It's like some certain movies, which I mentioned before. It's like I heard it so many times, it literally doesn't even ring true to me anymore. It's just like, okay, I've outdone it.
That song especially, and of course my siblings, especially years ago, they love to screw with me on that one. Like, oh, they'll play it. Like, no, don't you dare. No. They learn the lesson now. But
God.
yeah, I could never get into that.
I
Because
definitely don't see the appeal of the R&B legend that is Babyface. He's worked with Boyz II
yeah.
Men and Whitney Houston, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not seeing why these Grammys and even I think he even got like an Oscar or something nomination is like, yeah, I get that he's a big producer, but I'm not feeling it.
Well, one band I've never really was a fan of was Train. That was one.
Ooh, dear. And I got them so mixed up all the time with, what's the other one? Neon Trees, who also sucks. But it is like, Neon Trees has like that one new song that is way catchy and sounds like something totally else. And it's like, why weren't you doing this from the start? Or then you just sounded like all these other country rock bands that were just so full of shit.
There was like one song from Train I don't mind, and the rest of them
Because country.
nauseous.
Oh, that's it. Country is so inaccessible to me nowadays. Like other, I've seen parts of bands like Rascal Flatts and whoever Hootie from Hootie and the Blowfish is with now, but it's just like, other than that, it's like I just find it just, it's like give me some bluegrass or any day, it's just like.
Even like blues, even that's what I can take.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, guys. Like there's some country I can take, but then there's others that God no, I can't. Especially not at that point. Of course, you also have the people that want American Idol. I can name a few of those, honestly. Because God, I had listened to those. I was forced to listen to those, I should mention. I didn't want to, but I was forced to. Fantasia was one of them. Yay.
There's a name I didn't need to hear again. Fantasia. Jesus. You're gonna mention Saint Giles while we're at it.
Well, we might as well at this point. Screw it.
See, I'm not gonna gang up on Saint Giles. He has everything working against him.
Well, that's true.
They always pick the one that sucks because that's who makes money. That's who.
That's true.
Just have a heartthrob or drives their boyfriends crazy, and it's like.
That's why I'm not gonna hop on too many of them that's on there, because there's some people on there I actually don't hate. Shocking, folks.
But they're all a victim of the system. They could be.
I know.
If they had a good producer, but now they're basically. I don't even know how you can even really be specified as being a great person when everyone's just asking you to do your best take of a pre-existing song. It's like you already got the ballot stacked against you because now they're going into detail on, well, it's just not as good as the original thing. I was like, well
you knew that going in.
You knew it going in. It's written.
It's like, not everybody's going to do the original. And I hate to break it to people, but when you see some people live, they're not always going to do it just as they've recorded. Just pointing that out, folks. I'm just saying. Especially if they have a concert every other day, they're going to change it up. That's the point.
You would hope, but yeah. I mean, I'm gonna give a comedian the luck of the draw. He or she has the right to say the same joke they told 5 hours ago because got to make money.
Yeah.
It's fresh. Music, I mean, if you know all the lyrics generally, I mean, you can just auto-tune it and just have a good time. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
Not auto-tune.
Well, not auto-tune. No. Don't do auto-tune.
Get it right.
I was going to say, no, let's not do that crap. No.
Oh, God. Another band that was kind of part of that Christian rock phase that just, I can understand Skillet. I cannot understand Pillar. Let me hear your battle cry tonight, step aside. And it used to be in every other YouTube music video because it was like one of the few songs they licensed that you could use if your song had been substituted. And I would hear it in almost every other music video that people were making of action or war music video montages. And I was just like, fuck this fucking shit.
Well, speaking of bands that I say, fuck this, Imagine Dragons.
Mm-hmm. On my list also.
It's weird because when I first heard them, I didn't mind them, but then of course I'm bringing SNL again. When I saw them live on there, oh my god!
I was at a Super Bowl game at my friend's house.
Hear them live, folks, because
hear them live.
Wow!
Their voice goes out before the first verse. They suck.
I went, oh my god!
God damn.
That's when I deleted all the music after that. Because that was pitiful. And then people go, what was the sound?
No.
No. You want to blame
I
the sound
saw
so much for SNL, but
saw them on
no.
SNL, saw them on the Super Bowl. They can't perform to save their lives.
No. That singer can't sing for his life, but that's I'll always say that every day. Um, that's one band, and of course they had to overuse that one song "Radioactive" for almost every movie trailer.
Yep. Oh, let alone in credits. It's like
Yeah, that's true.
it works sometimes, other times it's just let's play something else.
It's like those other bands, guys. I hate to break it to you.
I hate to break it to you. Oh, so yeah, Tantric was another one kind of around that time. It was just kind of another harder rock band, and just not a single part of that bass or percussion just stood out to me. And yeah, I'm sure you've heard Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. Everyone's heard that. Do you feel like a man?
Yeah, I've heard that.
And there's another one. They get so preachy. It's like, I see the light. And it's like, Jesus. No wonder I never got into them. They got, even before the whole religious part, it's just all their songs were just too intense, just too serious. There's like, they just weren't any fun. And yeah, other than that one, Face Down, fuck them. God.
You also got like an All American Rejects, which God.
There was another one that what was another one that it was around that same time.
It was them. There's a bunch of them I can name because I remember when they were just popping out everywhere.
I think more MySpace kind of era.
Yeah.
A Day to Remember, that's who it was. And I was just
yeah.
When they started out, I thought they fucking suck. And I discovered them years later after my brother and his best friend who lived across the street were preaching about them. And I was like, well, they're good on a good day. There's plenty of them where I could wipe the floor with. I don't get.
I mean, you got that. You got Theory of a Dead Man, which I've never been a fan of, especially.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought them up. I mean, we weren't even going to bring up Nickelback. They just aren't even on our radar at all. We just don't care. But Theory of a Dead Man, it was like, yeah, Chad, you're trying to differentiate yourself. I don't buy any of it. I still hear your same constipated sounding voice, and
it's different guys singing on that band, but still,
yeah,
it's like it could just be the same person, honestly.
Yeah, I think he was involved with them at one point, or at least provided vocals. Theory of a Dead Man.
I think for like one of those songs at least.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they go back. Just to point out, folks, I used to love them as a kid, but not so
that's
much
just
now.
it because we were just hearing it all the time. We weren't getting how they had no artistic nature to it, and pretty much now I will just say their name just to explain how what laughable has-beens they are. But it's just so funny how it's like how they got famous was they had a roofing business. And
That's true.
And they didn't care. They were millionaires overnight. So all that talk about them getting pussy and getting in a rock band and it's like, I want to be a rock star is like, yeah, they're pretty much singing about them. Oh God.
I mean, granted, there's about 2 or 3 songs from them I don't hate, but that's the extent of that.
I can't do it anymore. I used to as a guy, and now I just don't see any appeal. I think it was Animals I would just have on repeat, but then there were other ones where it's like, yeah, it's kind of douchey. I think that's just it. It just gave off that flair, and because it was so shameless,
that's true.
I think that's just it. It just, everyone caught on after a while and just said, yeah, no, I don't want to be a rock star.
And then you got, did I lose my train of thought for one? No, Maroon 5 was another one I was going to mention.
Oh,
actually.
Dear. Yeah.
That was
7. They were hip and hopping, and then after a while, it just got to where it's like, it's catchy, but it's just lacks the heart or interest.
Particularly after the first album, which I do think is the best, because that's the only one that actually feels like they had some type of heart some music.
Yeah, I mean, the She Will Be Loved one got overplayed, and yet I understood the merit of, but then there were other ones where
Yeah.
it's just like, you need to stop doing all these duets with all these other pop artists.
Or rap artists for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. Speaking of
Like-
which, can anyone even tell Rick Ross, Big Sean, and Trey Songz apart?
No.
Because they do all these duets together. And don't get me wrong, Big Sean, I hate to break it to you, buddy. As much as I love the I don't give a fuck song, I can't think of us. There's like maybe 2 others I put on my playlist, but the rest, total trash. He just did with Kanye West. Oh, God. Tell me
We
about
also have-
Genuine.
We also have Future, who God, the auto-tune on that just annoys me to no
Mhm.
end.
Yep.
Of
Tell me
course,
about Genuine.
Why does that sound familiar? I'm not sure.
You've heard Genuine.
I'm sure, but I'm forgetting somehow.
Okay. Oh, God. I probably said their name wrong.
You probably did, but I forgot.
And Genuine is that everyone else is gonna say.
Yeah.
He was part of Swing Mob. I remember
I probably have heard of him. I just forgot for some
I
reason.
remember everybody. He hung out with TGT and Aliyah, and it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. But
I know who that you're talking about now. Okay, yeah.
he was listening to Pony and all these other stuff.
I forgot.
I heard so many people say that they were just absolute garbage in concert.
I'm not surprised, honestly.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, well.
Well, speaking of some I thought,
Bow, bow, wow, bow, bow.
speaking of ones I feel are garbage, Lil Wayne. I should
Oh,
point
yeah.
out.
Another one, not a rapper. Everyone knows him about his dreadlocks, his tattoos, and his broken teeth, and I'm just like, fuck you, dude. When I arrive, dude. It's like he
Oh
would.
God.
It's like I would shudder because it's like Kevin Rudolph was already an overrated singer, but the jam that was going on was okay. But then it just kept appearing in every other promo for TV shows. This summer on Fox or CBS, and they would play that
Yeah.
song, and I was like,
I
I've had
remember
to
Lil
tell
Wayne when he tried to do his own rock album.
people,
Quotations there.
Soldier Boy was already pretty lame, but I'm sorry.
Oh.
Lil Wayne should be ranked up there with him. He should not even remotely be talked about, and yet people are comparing him to all these other rap artists, and everyone's wondering, isn't he known more for just his trouble with the law than his actual music?
It
When's the
seems
last
that
time he
way.
did anything?
God, I don't even remember, to be honest.
He has tattooed the fuck out of his face to where it's just like, okay.
That's true. Another artist I'll mention that I would put more the overrated. I'm not gonna say hater as much, but
Tell us how you
I
really
never got the appeal was Beyonce.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Her and Jay-Z is like, Jay-Z, I mean, can you name a single song that he's done besides Encore with Linkin Park? I mean,
No.
and DMX talks shit about him, and next thing you know, his career's dead, and yet Jay-Z still has the power because he's a producer, and I'm like, fuck that.
And it's like him and Beyonce just I never got the appeal, especially Beyonce, because she's one of those singers that and I do complain about this quite a bit. Is when they oversing quite a bit, which annoys me the most. It's like Christina Aguilera when she does that. Oh, for God's sake, stop doing that.
I could not tell Christina and Shakira apart, but then it became pretty obvious that Shakira had more of a just kind of abstract style, and
Yeah.
Christina, she was out of the Britney Spears mindset where she was just capitalizing, and they were going for she basically invented the slut pop, and that's why I wasn't big on Lady Gaga, because she was riding on that at first too, and it's just like, well, why do you think I don't want to listen to this? It's just just don't have an appealing look, and all your songs are just embracing trash as opposed to being self-aware and kind of playing on that.
Mm.
Whatever.
It's like, for as much crap y'all give some of those 80s bands, at the time, even if some of what talking about just about drugs, sex, and rock and roll, at least some of them still had heart to them. At least, guys, I hate to break it to you. Not all of them, but some of them. Just to point it out.
Some.
Mm. To be fair.
Some.
Which I think was, there's quite a few I know people always try to get me into, especially some that's like in the 70s. Oh, well, I'll mention this band because I know my parents were in love with them for a long time. And they almost dragged me to their concert, but I refused to go. Like, I'm not even kidding. I refused to go. That's, I was a kid, but I refused to go, and which was America. That's what the band was called.
Oh God.
They're like a folk country band.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
And I had to hear The Horse with No Name a lot as a kid. And that was
I think it didn't help
fun.
that a lot of those songs were just so infused in pop culture that you just couldn't hear them. And I tended to get them mixed up with a John Denver or James Taylor song just because it just had that kind of.
Except James Taylor I actually like.
Well, yeah, no, I like those two too, but yeah, it's just like I can't blame anyone for getting them mixed up. It's
true.
But yeah, America definitely got played to death.
Because it was just pure torture for me, especially as a kid. That's why I never bothered to listen to them. God.
Let's talk about the Pixies.
I actually didn't know about them until like a few years ago.
I think everyone
into that.
put their load on them because they were featured in Fight Club, and I'm just like, no. I can understand Sneaker Pimps. I can understand the Deftones. I'm not getting anything from these guys at all.
No. Like every time you try to listen to them, it's just you just get less and less interested. I'm sorry.
Oh dear. Okay, well, tell me about. You're gonna hate me for this. Notorious Big. I left the more controversial ones for the very last, and because we're coming up on an hour already.
Well, I already had my controversial ones in the beginning, so screw it, might as well. And yeah, I can never get into his music either. Like I've told.
It's like before. Tupac, totally understand, but why were these record companies baiting them into a fight against each other, a turf war? It's like
I don't understand that either.
And Biggie was so sampled and all this other stuff, and it's like he just didn't really have any range, let alone much illustration. It's just, I think if anything, I think he just made the gangsters who listen to his music just very. They felt like they could relate, and it's like, well, all their other songs by many of the other rappers that we like were cool in that they just kind of were very illustrative with their lyrics, and it didn't matter where they were ethically. It's just like, well, as long as they're not talking about fucking someone up, it's like raping people, and it's like, I can understand if they're talking about if their song is a portrait about a gangster, and it's like Biggie, it seemed like he just had a lot of trouble coming both in his music and off screen, and it's like Tupac. I mean, people forget he wasn't necessarily from where he claimed he was, and it's just like. It's like he was part of many crowds, and yet he still kind of had kind of a innovative voice that really just stands out more. And Biggie, I mean, obviously there's gonna be fans, but I'm not one of them. Oh God. Now to wrap this up, let's finish up with a proper dump on Green Day.
What's odd with Green Day? Because I'm actually one that likes some of their hits. More like When I Come Around. Or
I understand Holiday, Do You Know Your Enemy, and
Like Boulevard Broken Dreams I like and When I Come Around, but besides that, yeah, I just never could get into them besides those songs.
Billy Armstrong pissed some people off at like a concert for just like having way too much fun, and then it just seemed like that was just kind of the main appeal. Everyone was just, it's like they were comparing themselves to the Beatles. I'm like, there's not any comparison.
No.
That they're British. What does that even mean?
I don't know.
Different kind of rock band altogether. I mean, they were just too soft, and that's what I got. I just didn't feel legit at all. I just felt like they were just marketed to all the other bands that were big at that time, and for whatever reason, I guess their music was relatable, so I acknowledge that, but I instantly just took to just disliking them instantly. I just did not see any appeal really just in the vocals after a while, and I'll give the guitar something, but after a while it's like, yeah, these guys really, I think, are more pop than rock. I think they should get it straight. Which are you?
That's true. That tends to happen with some of those bands that are popular that they say it's rock, but they're really not. I've always said that.
Or whoever our giant label claims we are.
I mean, that's what they do nowadays. It's like, oh no, you're a rock band. No, you're not. No, you're not. If I don't see you playing any instruments whatsoever, folks, or have a voice that's suited for that music, no, I'm not buying it for a second. I hate to break it to you, folks, but I am that harsh when it comes to music. If it sounds like garbage, I'm gonna say it. I always do. Well, speaking of, I forgot this band. You know what? I might as well save my last controversial opinion. And that's Nirvana. That's one band that I know a lot of people love. I like Dave Grohl. I like the Foo Fighters more than Nirvana, to be honest. But I never got the appeal for Nirvana. Besides one song.
Well, see, I was fortunate to hear a lot of their bands growing up. Them and Stone Temple Pilots, and I think it was just more, I related to it mainly because of the angst and the
I'm sure, yeah.
teen drama, but yeah, it was one of those, I mean, hell, I listened to emo bands and I wasn't emo, so it's just like, I was just a movie buff who happened to be going to high school. But, yeah, I mean, I don't really listen to them nowadays. I've just kind of heard almost everything by them on repeat, so it's just like, I could understand if just someone just found them just inaccessible or just never really acknowledged but didn't really explode on them on the scene at the time or whatever. But I think that's just it. I think that was the round where music was, different trends were circulating in the music circles to where it just everyone had a different story on when music was good and when it got bad.
It's weird because other bands that time I'm more a fan of. You mentioned Stone Temple Pilots. That's my favorite one of all of them. And I listen to them more than Nirvana. Same thing with Soundgarden and Pearl Jam. Yeah, I usually listen to them more than Nirvana. So I guess it's just acquired tastes.
Yeah, because I think they were some of the same labels. So
well, yeah.
I checked me, but I'm wondering why one was getting more exposure over the other.
But I think it just comes down to Kurt Cobain's voice, which half the time I didn't know what the hell he was saying, to be fair. Especially with Smells Like Teen Spirit, I don't know what he's saying besides certain lyrics.
Hello.
That part I could hear.
I didn't know if that was a Pink Floyd reference or what. Well, either way, thank you for being on here, and this was a fun time, just kind of just venting.
Like, I'm sorry, folks. This is our opinion. We've always said that many times.
Oh, dear. Whisk away.
Yep, we're out.
Out!
We'll return after these messages.
Hey, feeling down? Feeling low? Not enough podcasts about movies in your life? Why not try?
They must be destroyed or on sight.
The new podcast cure-all, sure to get you right with the world and on a path to better living. We have exploitation, we have Italian horror, we have zombies, we have slashers, we have crime films, we have spaghetti westerns, we even have sci-fi and sex comedies. So take a dose of...
They must be destroyed on sight.
As needed, and let the hosts, Lee Russell, Daniel Harper, Paul Romali, and the odd guest host cure what ails you.
Warning, may cause atrophy, African consumption, black fever, bone shave, chin cough, colic, cramp colic, dropsy of the brain, elephantitis, grocer's itch, jaundice, mania, miasma, mortification, palsy, Pott's disease, rheumatism, scurvy, St. Anthony's fire, summer complaint, and worm fit in some people. Consult a physician before listening.
Hey, I heard you like movies.
I heard you like to hustle.
I heard you like podcasts.
Well, guess what?
There's a podcast for you out there called The Home Video Hustle.
Damn right.
Every Friday, we talk about whatever movie PJ picks out the bag. What does that mean? Every Wednesday on our YouTube page, I put a bunch of movies in a bag, and PJ picks one out at random. And then we just watch it. We talk about it for maybe like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever we feel like doing, wherever the conversation leads us.
But do we actually talk about the movie?
Most of the time. Tangents galore.
Yes.
So believe me, we may be a movie podcast, but it's not always about movies. We may talk about video games, music. Yeah, that's the big one, music. Sometimes we might get a little bit of politicalness in there.
Yes.
Sometimes we may just, we know what we like to do. We like to tell stories, PJ.
Yes.
I am the master storyteller of the podcast realm. Undefeated. So if you like to hear about movies, video games, whatever foolishness comes to our mind, the most random stuff you could think of, check out the Home Video Hustle. You can find us on the Stitchers, the Google Play, Apple Podcasts,
what else?
Podbean,
what else?
Podcast Addict,
goddamn,
all that. Ain't no reason you can't get your hustle on. We everywhere, worldwide, baby.
Hustle, motherfucking hustle.
Hey, we can't cuss in the promo, PJ. We gotta be family friendly. There may be podcasts out there that don't want his hair say all that good fun stuff.
Well, you.
Don't run the listeners away, PJ.
I'm sorry.
But this is going kind of long.
Yes.
So we'll end this and say, hey, check out the Home Video Hustle every Friday on all the various podcast outlets. Peace.
Peace.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. And while Witch didn't make it to the top of the world, he did make the Gangs of Hollywood podcast. So join the gang and enjoy a movie review podcast about movie gangs, gangsters, mobsters, and the mayhem they cause. You can find GOH Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at GOH Pod at www.gohpod.com, as well as your favorite podcast listening app. And remember, say hello to your little friend for me.
If you take two old punk rockers who are past their prime, put them in front of a movie screen and give them a podcast, what do you get? Cinema Punks. Cinepunks. It's the mixtape of movies.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of her.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
doll popping up at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was going
How
to be a
could you
rough
watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Hey everybody, I'm Corey.
And I'm Zach, and we're the hosts of Podcasting After Dark, a cast dedicated to late-night horror and sci-fi of the 80s and 90s, often found on HBO and Cinemax.
You know, the movies your parents didn't want you watching as a kid. You can find us every other week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and Stitcher.
This is what you want.
This is what you get.
It's time, let's check our cue, baby. Pair it with a couple brews, baby. We love good movies. We love the bad ones too. So we watch them all and pass their lessons on to you. Oh yeah. Everything I learned from movies helps to make life a little bit groovy. With a one-liner plot holes and gratuitous movies. It's time to get busy with your friend Steve and Izzy at eilfm.podbean.com.
Welcome to Who Was She podcast. I am your host, Tara Jabari. After a decade working in documentaries, marketing, and all things digital media, I found that podcasting is a strong medium to share stories. After years of producing for others, I decided to start my own biographical podcast. Who Was She will focus on the life of a woman throughout Baha'i history. The first season is about Lydia Zemenov. Lydia's story explores the subjects of the power of language and faith. Her father invented the universal language Esperanto, and she came from a Jewish family and became a Baha'i. She grew up during World War I and was killed during World War II in a concentration camp, despite heroic efforts to save her life. How can one person's life intersect with so many others, connect across borders, and inspire a biography which inspired this podcast? Over the next few weeks, I will share her story with you and the lives that were most affected by her and those who affected her life as well. They include her father, Ludwig Zemenov, her spiritual mother, American journalist Martha Root, and the Baha'i German soldier Fritz Mako, who worked for the resistance undercover while having to serve the Nazi Party. I want to thank the author Wendy Heller and George Ronald Publishing for their blessing to let me use Heller's biography, Lydia, The Life of Lydia Zemenov, Daughter of Esperanto, as a main and instrumental resource for this podcast. So please subscribe and learn about this amazing woman who traveled through 3 continents in an effort to bring unity through the power of language. You can also find more information on our Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest at Who Was She Podcast. Music was composed and performed by Sam Red. I am your host, Tara Jabari. Join us next time as we begin our journey about Lydia Zemenov.
Hi everybody, it's Mac Jackson. I wanted to invite you to a new site called the Forever Adventure Network. This website has everything. Pictures, videos, blogs. There's original music by Harmony Constant, 2 podcasts. One is the MacGyver podcast, where we celebrate Richard Dean Anderson, his iconic roles, and how it's influenced our lives. There's episode discussions, interviews, and life conversations. The second podcast is the Never Gets Old podcast, where we celebrate all the best things that we love in life, from TV, movies, music, and comics. The site is also the home for the MacGyver SG-1 audio series, an ongoing adventure series that continues the adventures of MacGyver and SG-1. There are also multiple stores to choose from for all of your pop culture and adventure needs. Come on by and check us out today. And thanks for joining the adventure.
Are you sick of the same old stale podcasts? Well, then join Vanessa and Darren as they dissect movies of all kinds. The two lifelong cinema lovers bring their favorites, curiosities, and first-time watches to the operating table and inject them with a healthy dose of snark. Then there's the waiting room, where they examine books and short stories. So just look for them on Apple Podcasts and where fine podcasts are available. They're part of the Legion Podcast Network. Follow them on Twitter at VD Clinic Pod. Join them on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/VD Clinic Pod. Or email them at vdclinicpod@gmail.com. They're ready to cure what ails you. And still, they just might be a little contagious.
Hi there. It's Heather from the Watching Netflix Without You podcast. Did you know that there are over 1,200 Netflix original feature films and documentaries? And that number is only growing. So I've made it my mission to watch as many as I possibly can. Then, with a delightful guest or guests, disclaimer, more often than not my brother Ryan, we spend an episode rating, reviewing, and discussing a film at length. The first half of every episode is spoiler-free for those who haven't seen it yet, and in the second half, after a very clear spoiler warning, we dive into it. And that's really about it. You can listen to Watching Netflix Without You on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more.
We now continue with our program.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up review show.